Hello and thank you for joining us. My name is Dylan Little with the Mid-Continent Public Library. This is the 26th year of the Mid-Continent Public Library's Veteran Salute, an annual tradition honoring and highlighting the stories and service of our local veterans. Going back several years, the library has taken the opportunity to record the stories of local veterans with the help of our Midwest Genealogy Center. If you joined us last year, you may have viewed our interviews with a remarkable group of local Korean War veterans. This year, we're back to work with local filmmaker Kevin Bryce to highlight a new generation of veterans, those who joined the service in the wake of 9/11. As you will soon discover, every veteran story is as dynamic as it is powerful. We are lucky to have a chance to share these Kansas City area veterans in the weeks to come. Before we turn over the focus to this group of extraordinary individuals with their stories of service, we want to preface this special program with a heads up. This presentation contains adult language and graphic descriptions of violence. It may not be suitable for all ages, and viewer discretion is advised.
I had a huge breakdown in 2009, so my life completely fell apart a year after I got home. I started having panic attacks every day, became suicidal, and started seeing a therapist outside the VA. And then I started reading everything I could get my hands on about veterans, PTSD, trauma, coming home from war. Literally read every single book, I think, that has been written by anyone of any kind of notoriety.
The first thing we did was we committed that we were going to make it through this together. And then we would just lie in bed holding hands, just staring up at the ceiling. And I kept thinking, I'm not going to wake up in the morning because you can't live with this much pain. And I didn't want to die, but I couldn't see that I was going to live. And we did. And we'd wake up the next day and I'd be kind of surprised. And you string enough of those days together and you realize that you're not done yet and that you're supposed to be here for something else.
Because there were a couple of options. I mean, one option was for us to encircle each other and just be a family and grieve the way that we wanted to grieve and just block out all of that. And the other was, and this was hard for us, this was a hard decision, to make sure that people understood the sacrifice, cost, and price of freedom, and that our son's name would not be forgotten, and that out of this, good could happen, that we would find a way to help other veterans, because if he'd have been able to come home, we know that's what he would have done.
There's a difference between reading and creating. What were those steps for you?
Oh, for me it was just, something took hold of me again, you know? Especially after reading everything that I'd read and took the lessons from my own analysis, the lessons I gained from reading people like Carl Marlantes, Ed Tick, Jonathan Shea, and I kind of culminated it, and there was this thing that was just born out of me. And so I started a nonprofit, which is still up and running today and doing its thing.
And what's it called?
So The Battle Within.
I fell into a depression myself, and I was really struggling. It was my wife that was finally like, hey, you need to go get help.
Right.
And I was still, no, I'm good, I'm fine. I mean, we're always the last ones to see it, right? And so I went through the curriculum and realized more than anything, like, I didn't have this community in my life to help hold myself accountable, and I do really well when I have that community to hold myself accountable and do these things. I need to stay within this community and give back, and so that's really led to me throwing myself full-fledged into this work, and ultimately The Battle Within, and becoming the executive director there.
So the shooting happened in 2009. So for the next few years, I'm just trying to heal and manage and learning how my life is so different now. Because I mean, at this point I'm depressed, I'm anxious. It's like almost like a third person in our marriage. Like, it's just so much to deal with, being newlyweds, new parents, and PTSD. So when I get pregnant with my second son, the VA sends me to get biofeedback, and she actually introduced me to essential oils and has me put it on my liver, and then tells me that your liver holds anger and resentment, and tells me to put it on for 21 days. And I do this, I'm starting to see results. I'm adding peppermint to my head instead of reaching for an Oxycontin or a narcotic. and it's working. I'm thriving and being able to be out with my children and like taking care of them, because 2 young boys, they're on the go all the time, so busy. So I got to be on top of my game.
There were a lot of military operations going on in Puerto Rico at that time for Maria, but since we came back from deployment, our command at that time say, hey guys, I'm not gonna put you through this again back to back, so it's gonna be optional. If you guys want to keep working and giving support to the mission that we're having right now, you guys are more than welcome, but if not, I would prefer you guys to stay with your families and recover from, coming from a deployment.
Yeah.
So yes, I personally decide to just go back with my family and just recover from the deployment. I know a lot of people that came from the deployment straight to keep working with Maria.
In 2008 when I got home, I wish I would have had that program, the 5-day. To this day, I still think about how profoundly healing it would be if we could go through something like that as a unit. Like how much it would have meant, how much it would have changed the whole course of my life after war if there had been psychotherapists trained in the kinds of things that we do at the Battle Within to meet a unit when they get off that airplane, because I went from having panic attacks every day to like having panic attacks like once a month, and then flash forward to today, I have panic attacks like once a year.
A friend came and said, hey, I want to do something to, in memory of Spencer, and we're thinking about maybe doing a 5K. And we're like, okay, sure, let's do that. And they said, well, it'll probably raise some money. And we're like, okay, let's do that. And what do you want to do with it? Well, let's help some veterans. And so started this foundation, the Spencer C. Duncan Make It Count Foundation. Make it count is what Dale used to say to the boys every morning before he left for work.
It's one of the last things that Spencer said to me, said to us in one of those sketchy phone calls, just a few weeks before he was killed. We were talking, and it was late, and I had to go to bed because I had to get up for work the next morning. And I said, Spencer, I just, gotta go. And he stopped me, and he said, I know, Dad, I'm making it count.
And before this year, we had given away over $750,000.
You're still in the Army, you're still active duty. What brings you back to serve your country and service after all of what you've experienced?
The Army, it gives you the opportunity to make so much good impact in the people around you and the people in their community. I feel like it builds you to be a leader, and you take those leadership skills and you use it for everything.
The amount of leadership that I got to have displayed to me in such a short amount of time really helped shape me as a leader, and still does. There's so much that our military folks have to offer. That's a big part of the Battle Within, is really helping them overcome those traumas that allow them to use those skills and help be the leaders our nation needs.
We live the lives that we live on the backs of the people who have been willing to not live this life. So to me, living our best life is what we're supposed to do.
At some point, we have to break that stigma that getting help for PTSD makes you weak, because we have 22 veterans committing suicide a day, and it's because they're not getting the help that they need.
We can't help every veteran, we can't change every veteran's life, but we can change some, and we'll do that. We'll keep doing that the best that we can and make the difference where we can. We'll just keep doing that until we can't.
I appreciate having the opportunity to tell the story. Carl Marlantes, in his book, What It Is Like to Go to War, he has this line where he says, when the child asks, what is it like to go to war? To remain silent is to keep from coming home.
If you're interested in learning more about this program, please visit mymcpl.org/veteran salute. If you're a veteran or concerned about one, there are caring and qualified VA responders standing by 24/7 with the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-243-8255 or via text at 838-25.